because there's a racism angle.
Right.
And the media pretends they hate racism, but trust me.
They use it.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. So even if they had 5 people who did that online, they would find those posts and now make it a wall-to-wall story. No. England has a very talented team. They have a very limited coach. I am not sure that the fact that Sancho, Rashford, and Saka were all black and were the ones who missed the penalties was a source of great contention amongst a significant number of people. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, I would think that the UK is definitely more outwardly racist. Or you'll probably find a greater proportion of outwardly racist people in the UK. I think it's more embedded in their culture to be that way.
Hey, welcome back. It's the Alternative Perspectives podcast, the app 868. Look for us on any social media platform possible. Probably not any, but most of them, of course. And today, we have Jude on the inside again with us. And it's to discuss something for 2 reasons. Jude is one of the people I know really into sports. And tends to be a bit unbiased, except when it comes to Barca. Yeah, anything with Barca, he tends to lean to the Barca side. And also, being a person who lived in the UK for a while. And yeah, so we discussing the Euros, right? And
sorry, as your phone buzz.
check yours. No problem.
And I never put this on silent before now. I can't never use this one. Yeah.
So we deal with the Euros, and of course the racism stuff or the racist stuff that came out of it. The thing is, some people are saying that's how it always was. Of course, you might be able to give me some
light on that.
Some light on that.
Well, not as a former footballer, not as a former professional athlete, but yeah, okay.
Right. So, first of all, Euros. What you thought about how the competition ran? I mean, I watched a couple of games. A lot of games went into penalties.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because the teams were so good that they dragged, the game right on, or they think they just weren't good enough to score?
Well, I mean, some of the games that went to penalties were high scoring.
Right.
From France and Switzerland, both was 3-3 and it went to penalties. Spain and who Spain beat by? I think it was Czech Republic. Might have been Czech Republic. I think that came back from 3-1, just like Switzerland did, and went to penalties. So not all the penalty the games that went to penalties were low scoring. But in terms of how the competition went, I think people overrating the competition. There are a lot of things I didn't like about it. Now, this format of having it in different countries was a special occasion thing, and it was decided on before COVID. So I guess they didn't anticipate that. Well, I know they didn't anticipate that they wouldn't be able to fill the stadiums with fans in all of the countries, right? So that made it kind of dumb, because to watch a game in Hungary, where there were apparently no restrictions on the crowd, and then you watch a game being played in Germany, where it's a half empty stadium. So that was kind of stupid. I don't like that travel format anyway, but I guess it was made worse because of COVID.
Right.
I don't like the fact that they added more teams to the mix. This extra round, I don't know if you might have known, but the Euros never had a round of 16 before. It was just group stage to quarters to semis, right? But they've allowed more teams to qualify this time. So it went 8 more teams to qualify. So it went from 16 to begin with to 24. Right. And so I didn't need to see North Macedonia, and Slovenia. I didn't need to see those teams involved in the competition. I don't think it added anything to the competition. As for the football on show, it was generally good. Even the games that went to penalties, most of them you saw some high quality football. Just good offensive play, but also good defensive play. So as a competition, I think it was good. And I think the best team won in the end.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the team that played the best throughout the competition, France was probably the best team in terms of the composition of talent. But the team that played the best throughout the competition, in my opinion, won.
Okay, no. I think chip off. half of England again,
Well,
right?
I couldn't care less about that.
Right. But so what you're saying is that people who believe in England had a good chance might have just been a bit delusional.
No. England has a very talented team. They have a very limited coach
Right.
who has a very restricted idea of how he can progress in competitions. And he thinks in order to progress in competitions, the teams have to be solid defensively. And there's a way to do that, but still be entertaining on the counter-attack, but he couldn't figure that out. So he just had the team playing within themselves as opposed to as much as being as deadly
Right.
as it could have been. So England, talent-wise, after France, I think England is probably the most talented team.
Okay, because I know is Roy Keane. One of them
Commentators,
no,
analysts.
one of the bigger players, one of the older, more mature players on the English side.
You mean Harry Kane?
Harry Kane, yeah.
Okay.
Harry Kane, yeah. Harry Kane, I heard people saying that he wasn't getting the type of football he's
The
accustomed
service,
to. Yeah.
that he would get when playing for Tottenham.
Yeah.
There was no Hong Min Son,
Right.
to provide him with the runs and the balls forward. Well, they just played a completely different style. Although, well, I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but with respect to Tottenham, that style of football was kind of lacking towards the end there when Mourinho was there. So, but before Mourinho, when they were under Pochettino, Harry Kane would have been grown accustomed to a style of ball that the English team certainly wasn't playing. And that's why he didn't score as much goals as people expected.
And also a lot of people was bad talking him because they're saying he was wasting time on the pitch.
Well, I mean, he in the group stage, I think he could have been a little bit more clinical. He wasn't getting good service, but there were some chances he had that he fluffed. But I don't think it's his fault. The English team generally focused too much on being compact and defensive and hoping that Sterling did something on the run and would make his way into the box and square to Harry Kane. And that was about all they were hoping for.
And, well, let's jump into the end result now.
Right.
Because you're saying the coach might have fumbled, right?
No, might have. He did.
Well, well, this is what I'm saying. But you that's your opinion.
Yeah, okay, right.
Because,
But in my opinion, yes, he's definitely to blame. Yes.
Because the thing is, people would say, well, he didn't miss the penalties, or he
He should
didn't.
never have gotten to penalties. Did you see the game?
No, I didn't see the game.
England went ahead in the first 3 minutes. Definitely, I can't remember exactly when, but by the end of the first 5 minutes of the game, they were ahead. And they were ahead and playing all over Italy because they have greater athleticism. The players are faster and fitter than Italy. And I also think that Mancini started with a back four that wasn't ready. They didn't expect Southgate to start Trippier and Trippier to be causing all them problems down the wing. Now, the only goal England scored was essentially a connection between fullbacks. The ball went from one fullback to the other, from Trippier to Shaw, and Shaw, with a clinical finish, put them ahead. And for 20 minutes, they was playing all over Italy. And they had Italy on the run. Italy didn't know how to cope with their pace. And because England, because the players are so athletic, I mean, they're talented too, but they were, at least in that game especially, they were much more athletic than Italy. Italy could not, when England hunted the ball, Italy didn't have the knock-in that they had earlier in the tournament against other teams. Spain did it too. Spain pressured them and pressed them high up the field and caused them the same problems. And England were even better equipped to do that because they had much better players. But England never had another shot on goal.
Right.
They scored in the first 5 minutes and never had another shot on goal all game long. England had, in terms of household names you could call, I remember when I saw Marcus Rashford coming on to take the penalty, I was like, oh shit, I forget he played. And if you could call Marcus Rashford as a star player for Manchester United.
Right, yeah.
Jadon Sancho, well, he's now a Manchester United player, but he was well sought after. He was a big star at Borussia Dortmund. They have Calvert-Lewin, who was on the bench. I don't think I ever saw him make an appearance during the Euros. He had talent galore, attacking talent galore,
right.
and yet still only looked extremely good when they played Ukraine. You understand? That's the only game where they looked in control and running rampant and scoring left, right, and center. Every other game, they were within themselves. And so I can't blame anybody but the coach for the fact that they even allow that game to go to penalties because they shouldn't have.
All right, so game reach penalties, man show it, ball gets saved. Even though I know your stance on penalties and how penalties should be taken.
Right. Yes.
And I mean, I know you always say that there are ways that if a penalty is taken properly, most likely the keeper won't be able to catch it, won't be able to stop it.
No keeper is stopping it if you take it properly.
Right?
You don't have to play these stupid games with pick a side and fake the keeper and all that. You don't need to start. You could care less what the keeper does. You could point to where you're hitting it, and if you hit it properly, I mean, okay, if you point, then he will move more to that side. But you get my point. If you could make up your mind where you're going, no matter regardless of what the keeper does, and if you shoot it properly, goal. Harry Kane showed that. Maguire showed that when he took his penalty. Although his was kind of high, I would normally
you blow on hard.
Low and hard. But the spot he chose, almost impossible for the keeper. Even if Donnarumma went the right way in the case of Maguire, but he still couldn't stop that.
I saw a lot of people aiming for the V's.
Yes. In most of the penalty shootouts, the ones who picked the side before the shot, most of them were going for the V's.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, the V's is the top corner, the right angle on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Left view, right view, whatever, right? So, but all right. So then we have Saka, who penalty was saved. Some people say he kicked too soft. Some people say it didn't go wide enough.
I think he didn't kick with conviction. I think he was scared, and he picked a side before he ran up to the ball, and which is all right. But when you do that, you need to hit with conviction.
You need to execute.
And he didn't hit with conviction. I think he hit half-heartedly.
Now a lot of people are saying he was scared, but and as they on Brilliant Idiots they were debating, and now obviously Brilliant Idiots is not one of the places you listen for them to debate football, right?
Yeah.
Because
and they were called soccer.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, right?
Yeah.
But what they were saying, because somebody was saying that okay, he's only 19, he should not have been put in that position. Somebody else is saying, no, at the end of the day, you're getting big boy money, you're rolling with the big boys, so you should be able to, they should be able to put in.
I'm not so sure Bukayo Saka making big boy money yet.
Well, no, not big boy money. You understand what I'm saying? But you're on the same level in this situation as you are city players, so you should, anybody could call on you at any point in time to do.
Well, what the word coming out, what I've heard people saying is that they in training they had competitions with penalties and Saka was the best.
Serious.
So that's why he elected to go last, and the coach allowed him to go last because he was the best kicker. In fact, the five that were chosen because they were that's why he was trying so hard to get Sancho and Rashford on,
right? Because
they weren't on the field before the penalties were taken. Yeah. They were substituted, which is again irritating. You should be bringing on Sancho and Rashford to bring an extra spark to win a game. He had those two talented players on the bench and only put them on to take penalties because, well, for those who know, if by the end of the extra time whistle, a player isn't on the field, they can't take penalties. It will only be of the players that were on the field at the time.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So it has happened, and outrage right after.
I don't believe that.
No, what was that? You don't believe what?
I don't believe there was outrage.
Okay, so because I mean, based on what I've been seeing on social media, they show you some square like where the game was playing, and well, first of all, it seemed like the first outrage was between Italian fans.
Oh, you mean outrage at the loss in general?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it somehow turned into some sort of racial and racist outrage.
That's the part I'm not certain about.
So but I mean, but when you say you're not certain that it actually physically happened, because obviously you would have seen us other things online.
Right. No, okay. What I'm saying is, I am not sure that the fact that Sancho, Rashford, and Saka were all black and they were the ones who missed the penalties was a source of great contention amongst a significant number of people. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that... Listen, when the when the game was being played, I was watching it with my wife. And because I don't think in those terms, obviously, I didn't pay attention to the fact that the three that missed were the black players. It's only when, just before the trophy was handed out, they had a shot of the three of them next to each other on the field, kind of consoling each other. And it's only then I realized, oh, shucks. Oh, shit, it's only black boys miss. And Kane and Maguire, only white. Oh, somebody's going to make a big deal about that.
Right.
And I turned to Catherine and I said, listen, people are going to look to find the people who make a big deal about that. And they're going to make a big deal about those people. And so said, so done. I am not sure that there is any significant degree of I want to be careful what I'm saying. I don't believe that it is as big a deal as people are making it out to be.
Because obviously you start to see in WhatsApp groups here locally, and there's a girl who I know who lives in the UK. She's from Trinidad, but she lived in the UK a while now, and she posted that somebody's son or some kind of thing was going to somebody's son was going to school, a black young man, and but then how are you going to be going to school? School and class? But anyway, right? And he got beaten up because he's black. You see, and the thing is, I don't want to come out as if I'm defending England in general, or I'm saying that those sorts of things don't happen. But I'm a grown enough person to know that people love to make those things into a big deal, and not each and every one of them should be believed. Right. Listen, let me explain what I'm trying to say, right? We have to learn as a society to stop taking the bait of the media. Right. Because the media likes to set the agenda. They have agendas, and not all of them need to be nefarious agendas. When I say nefarious, it doesn't need to be a political or ideological one. Most of the times, it's money, right? You know, they're corporations, they want to make money. And in the media, what makes money? Stories with legs, things that get people emotionally charged up. So there are always going to be people who are going to look for those things and magnify them greater than, they need to be magnified. I don't know if you watched the game. Well, so you say you didn't watch the game. But during the game... I saw pieces of it. What was I doing? I was busy, and I remember stopping by somebody, and I saw a piece playing, and I went somewhere else, and the next piece was playing. Yeah.
Right. During the game, there was a pitch invader, right? Now, if you were not paying very close attention to the game, you could have missed that completely. If you were one of those people which seems to be the norm now, to watch a football game while online, constantly talking with people in a group or something, you would not have noticed that there was a pitch invader. Because, as you might know, the camera crews are always told not to focus on them. From if they could get zero, if they get any time on air, it was by accident. It's because they ran into the frame of a camera that happened to be the shot selected at the time before somebody noticed them. In this case, that didn't happen. So it had to be explained why the game was stopped. Because it's like, what's going on here? And then the commentator had to mention, well, there's a person, and of course, we're not going to show them. The reason why that is, as you would know, is because there's a concerted effort to not encourage people to do that. Because they're trolls. They're generally trolls. They're doing it for, is a bet or something, or they have some slogan that they want to be
or they just want to get popular.
Promoted, or and so you take away the motivation for doing that by not giving them what they're looking for. But when these things happen, a tiny minority of people take the opportunity to be trolls, to make a big deal, and to racially abuse. Right. And instead of us doing the same thing, we magnify that. Right. We give that wall-to-wall coverage. We are kind of doing it right now. That was a competition. We should be arguing about whether Donnarumma really deserved the player of the tournament. It should be Chiesa, in my opinion. It should be Chiesa. So this is what we should be talking about. But things, why it appeared on Brilliant Idiots? You know why they would be talking about it? Because there's a racism angle. Right. And the media pretends they hate racism, but trust me.
They use it.
They love it. They love it. So even if they had 5 people who did that online, they would find those posts and now make it a wall-to-wall story. and they'll pretend that they're doing it because they're trying to shine a light on racism, as if we need to know racism exists. If we didn't know about that, we wouldn't know racism exists. You know what I mean? So it's not about shining a light. It's not about, about bringing it to an end. Because how are you going to bring that to an end? How are you going to stop people from being...
Well, I mean, you know me. I have always said that you can't stop people from being racist, no matter what you do, because that's deep in the heart. And if it's in the heart, it's in the heart.
So what are we... This wasn't, okay, it happened on the field or it happened... No, this happened on social... So what are we going to do now? We're going to ban social media? We're going to...
Well, Facebook came out and said that they would have been putting an extra effort into... screening, I guess, posts and anything that surrounds racism.
And then when they do that, what happens? It changes the minds of the people saying those things.
No, but I also think that the reason Facebook posts is because Facebook wants to be in the media too.
Well, and I mean, they will be because everybody always looks to blame somebody. So they will blame, when it happens on the field, they blame the football association. You should be doing more to fight this. And now that happens online, they'll turn to somebody, well, you should be doing more to fight this. So everybody's going to, okay, I'm going to play this little stripping song and dance with you and pretend that I'm going to do something. But ultimately, what are we doing here? And even if now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying racist abuse didn't take place. And I'm not even saying that it's okay. That's not the point I'm making. The point is, how much of a story is it? And are we making it into a story because we love to talk about that kind of thing?
Well, I think one of the reasons I think this had some degree of impact is because, okay, for the last couple of years, when you talk about racism, it was mainly with the US, right? And nobody's really outright and outwardly racist. In most situations, they would say, you know, someone saying, a white police kill a black man.
Oh, you mean they couldn't point at something that was definitively racist?
Right.
Okay.
But because some of these statements that came out, which we don't know, I mean, at the end of the day, it have white people that could put out, or it have black people who put out things
and
like
you know,
that.
the funny thing is, a media organization in the UK, I can't remember it now, but I mean, you could probably put it in the show notes if you want. But they did an analysis, and the vast majority of those posts came from accounts with users based in India, Pakistan, and the UAE. The vast majority, I think, I don't want to misspeak, but it was definitely over 80%, came from users from those places. So when you think about, we are making this into a British racism thing. When at least from the post they analyzed on Twitter or wherever it was, it wasn't even. And a lot of these accounts were you might even be wondering if they're real accounts.
Right,
They might be troll accounts, bot accounts. It's accounts with like 12 followers, 13. But you think the media cares about that? No, they just want to find any example of it so they could make it into, well, let's now all talk nonstop about how and let's amplify something that we ultimately have no control over.
Right now, so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about it, because now you start hearing people saying, UK was always more racist than the US and
but I would agree.
Right. Well, so that is where I wanted to get into. You lived there for a period of time. You know what your experiences may have been, and you're hearing music in the background. So clearly, we're doing it to our bed, and that's because somebody's playing music.
Sanchez, isn't it?
Yeah, you understand?
Sanchez organic some so yeah.
So this part probably can't go on YouTube, it'll get flagged.
Yeah.
Normal. We are recording in a house, and some unruly people are playing music.
we get entertainment.
Entertainment. Right. Yeah. So what your experiences were, because you have been to the US, you have been to the UK, right? I haven't reached the UK yet. Somebody was here just earlier on and trying to explain to me or trying to tell me that the UK is better than the US. Experience wise as a tourist.
I would also agree with that.
Yes, and you have told me that, and Edward Harper told me that, and I just find it real hard to believe, but hey. Yeah. But you have been in both places.
It will depend on your taste. But
right, yeah. So, but you have been in both places, and based on your experience.
I would think that the UK is definitely more outwardly racist. Or you'll probably find a greater proportion of outwardly racist people in the UK. I think it's more embedded in their culture to be that way. I think they just generally, this is the impression I got. Now, this is not in metropolitan London. Right? London is a different thing. London people, first of all, they're not nobody in London is not used to seeing minorities. So it's not like if they're going to be, they don't live in a world where a minority is really a minority. Most of London is, if they combined all the minorities, they'll probably be the majority. So
serious.
I'm not sure about that.
Right,
100%.
but
yeah,
it's not like the US where the US is still at least 60%.
Well, but that would be, this is London I'm talking about, not the UK.
Right.
So in London, I would believe that if they were to put together all of the quote unquote minorities, they may probably get close to the white population, especially now. Because obviously I left there some time ago, and it's gotten more diverse since then, right? But outside of London, yes, I encountered quite a lot of people who seem to have a little bit less inclination to be politically correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's what you find. I think, now I've never been, you see the thing is, I've never been to parts of the States that they say are the worst, right? So I've never been, they always paint places like Alabama as, some of the worst places in terms of racism.
Okay.
So I've never been there, so I can't compare to that. And to be fair, I've never been anywhere not metropolitan in the States.
Okay.
But outside of London, it's yeah.
Serious.
Yes.
But so bad that you could fear for your life?
No. Well, the only time I feared for my life was in a part of London where at that time, trying to remember the name of the party now. There's a party that is generally associated with racism. Oh gosh, I don't know why I can't remember the name of the party now, but it's kind of like a British nationalist party, and Enfield at the time was a stronghold for that party. And I remember once I went to a chicken shop, a place to sell chicken and chips.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And I was waiting in line, and I saw there was a Pakistani guy. Well, I don't know if he was Pakistani. He was East Asian, right? But they call them Pakis, right? So he went in, and a white boy skipped him in line. And listen, I don't know how much his race had to do with it, but the point is, they started racially abusing him before they got into the fight, and they beat him up. And I left because I didn't want to be. Then they realized, oh, look, that's
okay.
Yeah. So that's the only time I really feared for my life.
But serious, like, so is it that there was so many of them? Because I mean,
yeah, it was. The thing is, because I'd heard a lot about Enfield and about that, how to be careful around there. And so when I went, I generally have a kind of fearless disposition. So
right,
you tell me not to go there, and I'm like, I do business. I go in. But then when I saw that happen, no, like I say, how much the guy's race had to do with it, I'm not 100%. I don't know if they knew him from before, but it didn't seem so. And it just seemed like they were drunk and they were looking for a fight. But I didn't want them to see me and then be like, oh, well, let's pick a fight with him too, because he looks different from us. So that was the only time I was ever fearful for my life, per se. And that was in Enfield, that part of London. But outside of, what you'll find out, or what I encountered outside, was just a lot of people who were not very interested in being politically correct. So they would say things that you would think they would know better than to say.
But things like what? I mean...
Well, first of all, they would refer to you as a nigger. Like...
Oh, like, hey, nigger, come here. Hey,
well,
hey,
no. Like, they would see you and say, we don't normally see a lot of niggers around here. But
no.
Yeah, and it sounds very... I don't want to try to mock the accent, but it sounds very strange coming from... Because, I'd always heard that term spoken by Americans.
Right.
So you generally... You have how it sounds... It sounded really much harsher when they spoke it in a British accent.
No, because here's the thing, right? Now, I am not one of the people who subscribe to people of a certain race shouldn't use certain words.
Right.
I'm not one of the people who subscribe to that. I think that is racist in its own, to tell somebody, because you're that color, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Nevertheless, is it that they were using that term, like, for instance, let me bring it to Trinidad and Guyana. In Guyana, or even in England, they would say Indian and they say coolie.
No, well, they call coolie people like you, mixed race. Yeah.
Right?
So they wouldn't call that India.
Okay.
Coolie,
right.
Coolie means Douglas, what we would refer to as Douglas.
Right.
Yeah.
But in Guyana, they just call
And here it's called,
Right.
it's a derogatory term to refer to.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. So this is what I'm saying. So is
No,
it
no,
that
no. They know very well.
serious?
Now, they may not be necessarily trying to disrespect you, but they don't think that you deserve the respect to not say it. That is what I found alarming. The fact that they don't even... they know it's not a good thing to say. They know, but it's almost like they have such little respect for you that they don't even feel like they need to put on a pretense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? As I said, they aren't interested in being politically correct. Now, you could say some people might appreciate that. They prefer that you be outward in how you feel about me. Wherever. I mean, you know me. These things don't bother me. So I'm just referring.
Right.
I'm just relaying what took place. None of those things devastated me. I mean, the one time I think I told you about the time when I was doing the door knocking job.
Right. Yeah.
That one was kind of upsetting, but that was mainly because I was doing a job I was feeling kind of ashamed about. And on top of that, this person referred to me as a nigger. So that bothered me, but generally those things don't bother me, right? I find if you're a grown man and you're offended by being called a word, then something's kind of wrong with you. But I know that saying that will offend other people. But you know, again, I don't give a shit. So, but I'm just saying that's what happened.
Because this is what I'm trying to figure out. When they say it, they're saying it to make you react, and when you react, then they
Well,
now
sometimes
have
I think some of them might have been saying it to see if I would not really react, fight, right? Because these aren't young people, you know. It's mainly older people that I encountered in the countryside, and they just like I remember. There was this. I was in Lincolnshire. Yeah, I was in Lincolnshire, a part of Lincoln. I can't remember the part of the town in Lincolnshire now, but I was there, and it was me and another black fella, and he's huge. He's bigger than me, and bigger than me in both height and size, right?
And you're how old?
6'3",
Right.
and I think he's about 6'5",
Wow.
right? So you know we would stick out in a British countryside area. Now there was. There were, I think, 2 or 3 white fellas with us, but we would stick out like a sore thumb. And for whatever reason, we had become broken away from them, and we went into I can't remember what we were going into the post office to get, but I think it was stationery or something. And we went into the post office, and the lady behind the counter was like, she looked visibly perturbed. You know what I mean? And she said something to the effect of, I want to get rid of you guys fast, quickly. And I was like, whoa, what that's supposed to mean? And well, the guy who was with me, he's a British citizen now. He's from Trinidad, but he's a British citizen now. I think he was a British citizen even then. So he was very acclimated into the culture. So he was like, no, forget, don't worry about it. I was like, what she mean by that? But she was quite clear that she didn't want us in there for very long.
So, is it safe to say that all the people with these hang-ups in the US and anywhere else in the world, if you go there, you'll be putting a tail between your leg a lot across there?
Like, you know how long I left there, so I don't know if it's gotten better. But you see, the thing is because of, I don't want to go into what I was doing there and the things I was involved in. So that's why I would have had a much different experience to most people. Most people from here, when they go, they'll be in cities, they'll be in Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, London. So they would never... probably you'll get little 1 or 2 things, and the thing is the thing in London, the most racism I ever received wasn't even from white people. It wasn't from English people. It was from East Asian people. It was from Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi. Those sorts of people were the people who were the most, I think, outwardly racist to me. Not those who were British, not those of East Asian descent, but in actual citizens of India and Pakistan and those places. They were the ones that I received a lot from in London. In London, generally, white people, they keep it at bay. You know, the political correctness is in full force.
Right.
So they may think or want to say, but you're not generally going to encounter that. But outside of London, yeah.
No, those racist encounters that you would have had with these East Asian people, what that was like what happened or?
Well, it was because in London, they own a lot of things called off licenses, which are like corner shops, mini marts kind of things. And they would have somebody behind the counter, and then they would have a guy who's standing by the door, and as soon as you walk in, he's following you around, right? And then if you I remember, well, a friend of mine, another Trinidadian, who would harass them now by picking up things and pretending to put it in his pocket, and you understand. And then they will come and they'll harass me, like, look at my hand, you know what I mean? And they'll and when you do that, they say what they think. Oh, you little so and so, you come here and you steal and you.
Well, right. So is it that is because I think. I mean, we like to talk about racism and play the victim card when it comes to racism the most, but we don't like to accept that sometimes
the stereotype exists for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, but I mean, whether it's debate that I'm not here to debate whether the stereotype exists or not. But what I'm just saying is they were the ones who would be the most. They would not feel the need to cover it up. Like most times, white people would be, at least those there would know, even if they think that, like even if they think, oh, I think these guys is bandits, or they would keep that. They would pretend, oh no, I know, I have no reason to feel uncomfortable around you. But the others, they would be outright and nah, like. No, don't come in here at a certain time. Don't come in here. Yeah. After a certain time, the last hour when they close off, no, don't come in here. Don't come. They'll serve you from outside. What you want, and they'll bring it for you. And
So many people in the US thought that they had it bad. It could be much worse somewhere else.
Yes, as I say, maybe in other parts of the states it was, but I've never been anywhere but New York, Miami.
I mean, I definitely I want to go to the states and probably go all around the states driving at some point. To see what that would be like.
Yeah, I
will not do racism, but to see what the experience would be like.
I would love to go to a small town, to a small to middle America, and just to see how it is, and as you say, not to experience people calling you bad names.
Yeah, but just to see what the experience is like, and but now for me, I've been to the US a few times, good bit of times, and I have never experienced racism from any white person or felt it in any way. Right? I've gotten poor service from actually like black people, to be honest. For me, in this country, locally, the one racist experience I could remember was in Tobago, actually. Back then, young and wild, so I tried to chat up a young girl in was it Chefs? Yeah, that's Chefs or the Arabian place next to it. Down by Crown Point there. And the girl watched her and she's like, wait now. Is that Trinidadian? We don't like Trini. And she actually take her hand and touch my head, my hair. And I was like, and is that Indian too? We didn't like Indian. But I'm not Indian. I'm mixed, but and we don't like Indian.
This from a black Tobagonian.
A black Tobagonian,
okay.
Right. And I was like, wow. And to me, that is the only racist experience I've ever had in my life.
Lucky you.
Well,
you lucky.
Well, I mean, you would have had yours in England, but
I've had that here.
Right
too.
here?
Yeah. From interactions with Indian people, yes.
Serious?
Yeah. I never.
But I mean, I guess it may not be the same for me because.
Right. Yeah. They see you and think you're one of the people. So, I've had many. Not okay. Let me not exaggerate. But I've had. At least in my lifetime, at least 10 racist encounters with Indians.
Here. In Trinidad?
In Trinidad and Tobago, yes. Right here. And I think I told you about a couple of them. I think I told you about the time by Price Mart.
I remember the one in Price Mart
I had a run-in when I was in the first year of school. Real issues. I want to delve into all of them right now.
I mean, because as I said, the talk just came up. Because, we just try to stay away from the racism thing too much because our views on this...
Yeah,
right?
A little bit. You see, because what I want to make clear is despite all of that, racism doesn't factor into my brain as one of those things that I worry about on a daily basis.
Right.
Other people make it into their world. I don't. And people feel you should make it into your world, and I don't make that into my.
And I also believe is something that if you look for it,
you look for it, you'll find no shortage of it.
Yeah.
And if you want to make it some pivotal thing in your life, then you could do that. I just choose not to. I don't use that as, for instance, I just mentioned here I've had run-ins with Indian people. I don't use that as a reason for me to be like, well, now that I'm going into this Indian establishment, I'll feel a way or act a way. You know, I don't go into these situations with any preconceived ideas. So if I
Right.
go in and you are harsh to me, okay, you're not harsh to me, all right, don't make a difference.
Yeah, the thing is, and I hope no one misunderstands what I'm saying. I don't see racist people as a problem, and I shouldn't say as a problem. I don't see the racism in them as a problem. I just think you're a shitty person. You understand? That's how I see it. I mean, because if it wasn't racist, you would be a shitty person in the next week.
You would look for other differences. If it was my race, it would be my height. It would be where I'm
Something
from,
else.
what part of the country I'm from, what country I'm from. I get what you're saying.
So and that is why I'd be like, oh, so if you're a shitty person, you're a shitty person. And if you decide to show that shit in using race, okay, whatever,
Right,
just shitty,
yeah,
right?
I hear you.
And for me, that's what I do and press on.
I don't think there's a great deal of profit to be derived from focusing on something that I can't change or control.
True.
There's nothing I could do that could change how somebody feels about me. Period. Well, I shouldn't say that, but there is very little that I could do to make people who don't know me feel different about me. And even if you know me, I don't know if I want to put all that effort into making you feel differently about me. So why am I making it a concern of mine? You know, I don't understand why I should view somebody calling me a nigger any worse than any other insult they could use.
Exactly, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying it's a pleasant thing to hear, especially if I know you're saying it to be insulting. But it wouldn't be any different if you call me ugly. To me, it's just you're insulting me. And how I deal with that is either I insult you back, or if we're not in that, if the situation calls for it, I just walk off or whatever. But I don't understand why I should break down.
Well, the thing for me, I always say, he who vexes you controls you. And
Precisely.
I will not let because
yeah.
the reality is, and I think some people will, like the people in as you're talking about in England and whatnot, some of them will know, hey boy, this is one thing that will push his button.
This is why I'm bringing it back to the sports thing. I don't know if you watched the game between Trinidad and Mexico in the Gold Cup.
Right. No, but I was taking in a lot of this stuff online.
The stoppage of the game.
No, actually, the tweets. Apparently some Mexicans were tweeting. They were saying. So I was seeing the tweets coming up and whatnot.
Tweeting what?
What
racist
about,
things?
Yeah, racist
right.
things. Yeah.
And that's another thing. You know, I've been to Mexico, and I told you about how they when they see you, every black, because you're black, they call you Will Smith, and hey, come here, and they start the people who trying to hawk stuff off on you. They what they're doing is exceedingly racist, right? Because they will see you, oh, you rapper. No, I'm not. But that's how they are. They have zero regard for people of our skin color either. You know what I mean? So it's not surprising to me that Mexicans were tweeting saying racially abusive things. And those same Mexicans would then have a problem if they go to the US and they're called a spick. You understand what I'm saying? But that's just how stupid it is. So, but during the game, right? Apparently in the Gold Cup, there's some rule about discriminatory language where once the referee hears discriminatory language, he has to stop the game and bring all the players into the center circle. When it happened, I didn't know anything about that. So I'm watching the game and then I see the stop and I'm trying to figure out, and the TV crew, American commentators, Jesus. Because apart from just being irritating when they're talking about football, he couldn't even explain properly what was happening on the field. I guess he and all didn't know what was the reasoning behind the rule. But apparently, once the referee hears some sort of discriminatory language, you have to stop the game. And the stadium announcer comes on and says like what was happening and tells them to stop.
So there's this language from the crowd?
It apparently, once the referee hears it, it doesn't seem to matter where it comes from. So if he has a player using it, or if he hears people in the stands or in the dugout or wherever, right? So he has to stop the game. Now, I was kind of glad it was happening because it helped Trinidad, because we were struggling to hold on to that 0-0 draw. Mexico they had momentum whole game, but they're starting to throw everything but the kitchen sink at Trinidad at that point in time. And I thought to myself, look how stupid this is. So if my team is under pressure during the game and I want a break from momentum, a coach could just tell somebody in the crowd, say nigger, say spick. and the referee has to stop and bring the players into the center circle, like if it's little babies he dealing with, you know what I mean? You all can't hear discriminatory language. Now these players saying all sorts of things to each other on the field, like your mother this, your father that, you understand what I'm saying? All sorts of insulting things, but no, you use this word, no, we need to stop the game. And I'm like, this is what we do into sports?
Because actually, same Andrew Schultz and we were talking about this, because I think probably Alex Media from Brilliant Idiots and Flagrant. I think he's more into football, right?
I don't know who you're talking about. I mean, I watched Brilliant. I don't even know the game, but I don't know all these characters.
He's the person who does handle most of the technical stuff. So he's a black guy, right?
Oh yeah. He's sitting on me on a desk, right?
Right. And apparently something like this happened in either wouldn't be Bundesliga, that probably Premier League or one of those other. League,
a Champions League game,
or Champions League or something, so, and they were stopping the game, and he was going to say that they could use this to their benefit.
Exactly. I'm losing the game. Tell a fan in the crowd to make noise, to say something off key, or you say it yourself, or whatever. But the point is, say it within earshot of the. Now, what happened in that Champions League game was different. I think it's the PSG game he's talking about. PSG walked off. They stopped playing.
Right.
Because of that, right? And I can't remember if they played the remainder of the game or they played over the whole game. I can't remember. But they walked off the field because some trainer kept referring to one of the fellas as black, right? Calling him, using black to describe the player over and over, right? But this is different. They are stopping the game.
Right.
And gathering in the center circle for at least 2 minutes, and it happened twice. If I was Mexico, I would have gotten so irritated because they were in the ascendancy. They were trying to find that goal.
It comes when you're playing basketball, and they call a time or just to break the momentum.
Exactly. So and why I think the Gold Cup put that in place? Because everybody's so keen to show, well, we are doing something to stamp out racism, but you're killing the game. And so what is going to be next? We're going to ban fans from the stadium? Because again, if it is, I know that's what I need to say to you to get you to react, or to get the game stopped, or to get whatever. You think that's going to stop the trolls?
Exactly. And I think, with people becoming more and more sensitive, right? Then that is how I'll throw you off of your game. If I realize when I say certain words, it will throw you off of your game. Your star player, you hear two niggas and I say you can't focus again.
Or we'll just start using different words to mean the same thing. So we'll just start. So if you're playing a game against a team from some country whose language you don't understand, and they know, hey, well, if we say this word, the referee go here and say, so we will come together. And so when we joking about them, instead of saying mono meaning monkey, we will say some other slang that we know named monkey. And then there's a question of, so did you say monkey because you're trying to be... What are we getting into here now? What are we doing? To fight a problem that's not going to go away. At some point in time, we get in diminishing returns.
Right.
The things we are doing are no longer, they are hurting more than they're helping. And I don't know how that helps anybody. But it helps the people who like to propagate who benefit from it being an issue.
Because for a long time, we had a way where if you ignore it, it'll just go away. You understand? We used to do that a long time. Oh God, just do study.
Right.
Once you pay, it comes like a crying child, a child looking for attention.
Right, exactly.
If the child cry and a long time, we like, no, just let them cry and they go stop crying. Life will go on. But we now live in an era, no, you can't do that. You can't
we're going to the other extreme. We're going to the other extreme. Now we respond every time the child cries. And we don't understand that neither one of those extremes is necessarily going to help anybody. There was a time back when Danny Alves used to play for Barca, where they threw a banana on the field and he took it up and ate it and threw the skin and continued playing. And I was like, that's what you should do when these people do that nonsense. They threw a banana on the field and he picked it up and he ate like, there, thanks, and he threw it back. Now you think that same fan would have thrown a banana the next time?
Because you'd have felt shepherd.
You'd have felt dotish. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, I think... And the problem is that a lot of people pretend they're trying to solve the problem, but they're just trying to exploit it. So they're glad to see it happening. And this is what as I wanted to get to earlier with respect to how the media goes searching for stories, right? I've expressed this to you before. Social media has given the media a nice, pleasant tool to use to drive the narrative, because they could always start a story by saying, outrage on social media. They don't ever have to quantify the outrage. I don't know how many people use Twitter.
Users?
Yeah.
It's pretty big, you know.
Might be 500 million, right?
Yeah.
Let me say. I don't know if it reached a billion. I don't reach a billion, but
Yeah.
let me say 500 million. That other social media platforms, probably over a billion people over a billion users.
Well,
in general.
Facebook, I think they say Facebook is about 2 billion.
Serious?
Yeah, 2 billion users.
Wow. That's a lot. But yeah, let's say in combination, all the different platforms together, let's say it's 2 billion users, right? If 100 people post, is that significant?
Outrage, yeah.
Is that something? Is that outrage? If it's 200 people, if it's 2,000 people, if it's 500,000 people, now we're talking about something else. But they never have to quantify it. A good example, with our local media here, remember Paula May Weeks when when she was appointed to the presidency, and I can't remember which. If it's the Guardian, if it's not the Guardian, I'm sorry, but I think it was a Guardian reporter chose to ask her about her sexuality,
Right.
and the justification was people on social media who are inquiring. What the hell does that mean? So 10 people on social media could make you ask the president a private question about her sexuality. 10 people on social media saying, well, I wonder what she is. That warrants you now bringing such a question. But the media wants to ask that question because they want to write that story.
Right.
They want to create, because those kinds of things get people thinking and bickering and
no, but to
biting
be fair, right? To be fair, you would have been an interviewer,
Yes.
right? And you know, sometimes you want to ask a question, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
So you say, well, you know, people have been saying
Right,
so about you,
right,
or so.
right.
And even though nobody
might be saying it, might be 5 people, or nobody at all. It's you saying it in your brain.
but they don't want to come out like
But that is the story you want. Now, yes, I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've ever done that, but it's not be on me to do that. I'm not saying I would not do that. I'm more straightforward, so I would probably just say I want to know, right? But even if I would have done that in the past, the point, that's not a good thing. And we need to be able to see when the media is doing that to us. Remember when there was the issue with the Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, and some girl in some band in South?
Right, yeah.
Right. I can't remember all the details, but I remember there was some dancing on.
Right.
And everybody I kept seeing on social, it was happening on social media too, because people on social media were doing it. But in the traditional media, you kept hearing things like, you know, outrage online about this or outrage online. And I kept looking, where's the outrage? I remember I challenged somebody on social media, because in my entire news feed, I just kept seeing all people making a big scene about the man, whining on the girl. And I'm like, I keep seeing those posts, but I'm seeing the posts of the people who making a big scene. So I asked somebody, who it is making a big scene? Because it seemed like you just want to talk about that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that, and you want to defend the Prime Minister. So you are pretending that there's some treasure trove of people who have a problem with what he was doing. But where are those people? No, crickets. Or then they will come back and screenshot something from a post and show it. I'm like, but that's a UNC activist page. Of course they go do that. Like, so you are saying UNC activists is everybody? 95% of the country saw that picture and didn't care.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? 95% of the country probably heard, hey, Dr. Rowley was doing this or doing that. Hey.
And I want to see the video. Yeah, nice in Denver.
Yeah. He's enjoying himself. And they're going on, they went on with it. But the media wants to write a story about it. So they're going to find the 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 30 people and make it seem like there's some debate bubbling on social media about X. And now they start doing it on them blogs, especially. They start like captioning the posts, like we're not lying. Look, these posts here.
Yeah.
But where's 10 posts? Where's 10 posts on social media?
And then how can we determine that those 10 posts, or at least 5 out of the 10 posts, they do have a particular agenda?
Exactly. Is that representative of even a significant set of opinion in our society? Probably not. So why are we amplifying it? Why are they should be, even if you want to report on the racist abuse, and okay, it's a legitimate story, you might be able to report it, but they are amplifying it. Why are they doing that?
Well, I mean, everybody is clicks and views sell.
Precisely.
Because like right now there's a big debate, and I don't want to go too far off, but the thing with Cuba, right, and
the protests in Cuba,
and on in the media hearing one thing, and then hearing, well, you can't hear anything from Cubans, but people who have Cuban family say, no, that is not what they say in the media is not what it is. It's a total different story.
Right. What do you mean? What they're protesting about?
Yeah, what they're protesting about
okay,
is like, so I watched something on Valuetainment. Yesterday I was watching something where he interviewed two people who...
Cuban exiles.
And apparently is something with they like legit taking money from the Cuban people now, boy. Yeah, right? Apparently they paying them in Cuban money.
Pesos.
Right?
Cuban pesos.
Yeah, they paying them in Cuban pesos, but then they charging them to buy things.
Well, no, the farmers have a real problem because the farmers but that's been something they've been complaining about for some time. But it's become even harder now because just like in Trinidad, there's a crunch on foreign exchange over there, and it's even worse now with the pandemic. So farmers, remember over there, when you grow stuff, you have to give a percentage to the government. The government takes a percentage. You can't sell your stuff like in an open free market because of their style of communism, right? So you produce, and the government, when you hand over a particular percentage of it to the government, and the rest you really use for subsistence because you generally can't sell it in the market at a price. But when they pay you for your produce, they're paying you in pesos. But you now have to get fertilizer and machinery and all these things that you have to buy and you have to import. But obviously you can't use pesos to buy those things. And because of the pandemic and the lack of tourism taking place, they don't have people traveling, bringing in the foreign exchange that they used to. So all of those things are causing problems in Cuba.
Apparently what they're saying, like if you send 100 US to your family there, the Western Union, they're only giving them 80.
Yeah, because they have to keep foreign exchange for the government to use.
So, and they were like, nah, that's crazy.
That's problems,
Because the person, when they send it, they would have been paying the
fees to send 100.
And then when they reach, the family getting short money. And so that's part of the reason that they're tripping off and having all that.
Economic issues in general.
But I mean, where you come to hear people talk about is medication and vaccines.
But I know they were saying, I think I saw something on The Economist about there being a faction of the protesters who were arguing for more access to vaccines. But I know that's not what you're talking about. That different vaccine argument.
But like all today I've been hearing. In our local news, they're talking about vaccine and medication.
And but the point you were making was that everybody takes their slant. Everybody takes, like if you watch a Fox News thing about this, it's anti-communist stuff because that is the slant. That's what they want it to be about. They want it to be about anti-communism because their audience is generally an anti-communism audience. So they will find, even if it's 5 protesters who are angling from an they will find them and they'll report it that way. And another, the CNN or whatever, who wants to protect communism or because they know that their fans like that nonsense.
Protect socialism.
So which
resemble communism.
Precisely. They will push a different slant. They will say, well, there's vaccines and there's medication and there's government corruption or whatever. But that is what but you encapsulated properly there. That is what the media does. The media finds they would look for the angle they want and they look for evidence of that angle and push it out there. And we know, because most people who consume media aren't, sophisticated enough to know.
Actually, I learned what they call them. They call them cognitive misers. Apparently.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Who coined that phrase?
So some podcasts has this thing too, and behavioral psychologists say cognitive.
The people who are unsophisticated consumers of media.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He said, because they don't think, somebody says so, just pick it up and run it.
Right.
Try to think through anything.
Yeah. They have no time to critically assess anything. Yeah. Exactly. And you see, especially when it comes to race, things involving racism, those things people love. It feeds a part of them, so they want that to be the case too. That's what, and mostly people even talking about this, they aren't football fans. You understand?
Yeah.
This is appearing in news content that are people who they just using football now as this is the new thing we're going to make into our racism.
You know, some people just forget, right? The play so racist, things so bad, but yet still they're willing to give black people millions of dollars
to stay there.
Yeah,
as opposed to repatriate.
Right? These football players, the good ones, they make millions.
Millions. Oh, you mean the salaries?
The salaries. I mean, if they're so racist, well,
Well,
Will you?
no, I mean,
Cool.
I guess what they're saying is that, yeah, I mean, the almighty dollar would mean you pay for the best talent and you do whatever. And I mean, if you're deeply, deeply, deeply racist, yes, obviously.
Let's be real. Exactly. If it's deeply racist, you could
wouldn't
have
want-
much talent in the world.
You wouldn't want that anywhere near your football team. I get that. But that still doesn't mean that there isn't something off-putting about if the thing that they were reporting was as big as they were making it seem, then yes, that is a problem.
Exactly.
That is a problem. But my problem is it's not as big as they seem. It is you are looking for it so that you can magnify it and make it into a big deal. Because I mean, you were asking about the atmosphere. I have a friend who went to the game. Well, excuse me. I wasn't in the stadium. He wasn't in the stadium. He was in the designated area outside,
Right.
which, to be fair, had almost as many people as in Wembley. Well, not when the people stormed the gates and went inside without tickets, but before that, it had almost as many people as were in the stadium itself. And I asked him, I said, so when the game was done, you was amongst anybody who hear anybody talking about Saka and Rashford and them, and I said, nah, everybody was mad. People wanted to fight than fight anybody who they see looking like an Italian. They wanted to fight.
Right.
All right. Another friend of mine was watching the game in a pub, and she get a thing on the back of her neck from, she not sure what it hit her, but a fight because some Italians came into the pub after and started jumping up and celebrating and then kick off a fight, and she gets something in the back of her neck. But the friend who actually was at the game, I asked him, I said, so you hear anybody say anything like them niggas and them or them little black boys with them make we lose? No, nobody care about that.
And he's black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody care about that. Nobody care about that. Remember, there was vexed they lost the game, but you really think some big majority of football fans who will be wearing Rashford jerseys and wearing Sterling jerseys, you feel they would be like, oh, them niggas make me. No, dog. No, and that's not to say they weren't people who did that.
Yeah.
Those people.
Eh.
If people like that, you feel it will flood the stadium to see them play.
Right.
You understand? The England side doesn't have any shortage of black players, you know. You know what I mean? It's not like if it's a lily white team and they bring on these three black boys and no, there's no shortage of black players playing for England. So why would people who were generally supportive of the team
Right. Just trip off.
all of a sudden just become nigger haters? That's not real. But people wouldn't stop and think about that because hearing that story feeds into their, yeah, you see, they're always racist and they this and they that.
And then, of course, coming off of the heels of the situation with the Queen and Meghan Markle and
Meghan
them.
Markle there.
And
I'll be honest with you, I didn't pay attention to that.
Well, I
tried.
mean-
I stayed away from it on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly tried to stay away from it too, but of course, I consume a lot of, those entertainment.
So I know they did an interview. I didn't watch it. I didn't hear what they were claiming. I just heard that they were essentially insinuating that the royal family was racist. So
Right, yeah.
that was all I needed to hear, and I pressed it. Yeah.
And then, well, of course, as I say, with that, and then we come in and people pushing the agenda. I think there's a possibility that, and I'm not, racism is bad, obviously. Any sort of prejudice is bad, right?
Well, being prejudiced is part of being human, eh?
But I know.
Being discriminatory. Being discriminatory.
Right, yeah.
So prejudice is not, I mean, if we weren't prejudicial, then we would get into all sorts of problems. So prejudice in and of itself isn't
bad.
So in other words, if I didn't prejudge you based on things I've heard, then I might find myself in problems when you are exactly what I heard you were. So it's because we're prejudicial that we sometimes avoid getting into problems. So prejudice in and of itself is not bad, but prejudice based on immutable characteristics of your personality. So something you can't change, your skin color,
Right.
yeah, those sorts of things, yeah.
Right? So, yes, so, for instance, racism and these things and
Sexism.
and
yeah.
all these things, they are bad. But I'm wondering, is it that there are some people, like for instance, I think America has gotten a significant shakeup, right? Till a lot of people kind of tippy-toeing, right? You know, we have curfew in this country. It's nearly curfew time, so let's wrap it up. It's North Korea we live in here. Yeah. So, and America getting the shake-up that they got. Do you think that there's a possibility that, there are people who are saying, okay, we shake up the US, that we have them kind of eating from our hands now, You had to put black people in high places right?
Yeah.
So, and now we will go around doing other countries that.
Well, I mean, listen, and to be fair, that's a pretty good tactic. And I've always felt that that's what a lot of black people have been doing for some time. A lot of black activists have essentially been shaking down white people. I think Jesse Jackson in the States has been doing that for quite some time. Just guilt tripping you into getting what you want. And, more power to them. I mean, we will set back. So if this is your way of getting back, I would prefer to do it on my own strength. I would prefer not to beg my oppressors to give me a bly. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer to, get ahead in spite of my oppressors, not because they gave me a bly. But if that's your tactic, then I think that is definitely an aim to. We cry about not getting Oscars, and now they're just giving Oscars out to black people. What does an Oscar mean now?
Now it's bare tokenism.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't seem to care. And as far as they're concerned, they've done it. They've been successful in pushing their agenda in Hollywood, and just media in general, in entertainment in general. You can't find a Netflix series that doesn't have either a woman of color or a man of color, especially women. No, women. That's another thing. That's another one of those movements that has been kind of guilt tripping people into giving them what they want. But I think that is part of the ploy. And I mean, to be fair, if that's what you're doing,
and working,
and it working, if they were to offer reparations, I wouldn't say no. You know what I'm saying? I do believe in that process, but I'm not going to stop you if you're going to give me. If you want to get your white guilt off your chest by giving me money, then by all means, brother, do what you have to do. I'd have a big problem with it because, like I say, I could understand if you feel that your race was set back because of these. I don't think it will help any longer. I think it'll give reparations, and in 25 years, I think if you were to split the world's resources in half now, or not the world's, but if if America was to say, let's make a big giant pool of all the money, and I know we know that's not how it works, but let's say we had a big giant pool of all the money, we split it half and half and give to the African Americans and have the other minorities and have the white people hold on to the wealth. I think in 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, we'll come back and see the same situation, because unless we address the things that are keeping us in this cycle,
I think
then
I hear but I think that's a real dangerous topic or dangerous discussion to start when curfew starting just now.
Well, you can edit that part out if you want, because it might make sense if we do that.
To dive into something like that, because as I say, and I think that could step on some corn.
I don't believe. My thing is, if you're saying what you're saying or with a particular motivation in mind, I really couldn't care less how people take it. I think there's my great uncle when I was younger didn't say many things that made sense to me, but one thing he said that made sense was, if you are telling the truth and it offending somebody, then the problem is them, not with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm simply speaking the truth, and I'm not speaking the truth to offend you, I'm not saying it to insult you, then you taking offense at that
says more about you than it says about me.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So what I'm supposed to lie so that you could feel better about yourself. So when you phrase it that way, does that
so put away my goodness to make you feel
exactly
better.
I must commit a crime against my values by lying so that you could feel better about yourself. I don't know how useful that is, and I'm not sure I'm interested in playing that game with anybody.
Hey Jude, thanks so much again for passing through. And obviously, we'll dive into some more things in the upcoming future. I mean, the COVID cases seem to be dropping a bit. Not the curfew though, but the COVID cases. And so, we could do more interviewing and be in close proximity. Don't worry, it's at 6 feet here, just in case. You understand? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks again. We out. It's the Alternative Perspective Podcast. Jude Campbell.
No problem.
Was here with
thanks
us.
For having I interrupt your outro there, but I should have said thanks for having me.
Hey, you're most welcome, man. Right? I'm not going to send them to your socials because I know you're not really big on the socials. And yeah.
Careless. I want to have social media extracted from my life. Yes.
Hey, there's a topic again for next day. Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah.